The Colorado River Basin boasts the highest peaks in the lower continental U.S., the widest plateaus, the deepest canyons, and the lowest deserts in North America. In the desert Southwest, the climate is dry and the landscape often arid. Water management, however, through intricate irrigation and complex allocation, has made the desert bloom. Today, however, water is overallocated and shortages are expected to occur as competing needs drain more and more of the West's lifeblood. Water is the key ingredient for economic prosperity, for energy development and agriculture, for urban growth, the environment, and recreation. How that sparse resource, water, is managed in the future is an enormous challenge that will determine the social, cultural, and traditional makeup of the Southwest.
Now remember, we live next door to the ocean, but we also live on the edge of a desert. Los Angeles is a desert community, and without water, the dust will rise up and cover us as though we never existed. Now the Alto Vallejo can save us from this, and I respectfully suggest that $8.5 million is a fair price to pay to keep the desert from our streets and not on top of them.
You steal the water from the valley, ruin the grazing, starve my livestock. Who's paying you to do that, Mr. Mulray? That's what I want to know.
The history of water has long been dramatic and tumultuous. Today in the desert Southwest, water shortages are pressing the limits on how we live, work, and play. In Colorado, a headwater state, we depend on the snow and rain that feed our rivers and fill our reservoirs. A complex system of laws allocates water among a growing number of needs, all of which depend upon the extensive Colorado River system.
The Colorado River belongs to 7 states. The 1922 Colorado River Compact allocated that water among an upper basin and a lower basin. Colorado was a part of the upper basin. In 1948, the upper basin states got together and Colorado got about half of the upper basin share. So we have about a quarter of the water supply.
Water administrators in the West are approaching a day of reckoning when population growth pushes the state's water supply to its limit. Juggling the use of water against future demands is no simple task.
It's a little bit like being in the middle of a rubber band, being stretched from both ends. We're being stretched by our water supplies to meet front range demands and our legal requirement to continue to allow water to go to our downstream states and Mexico.
Making matters worse are the uncertainties of climate change and worries over a prolonged western drought. Tree ring studies show that the climate has been in a constant flux over the centuries, with evidence of more pronounced droughts in the basin than those encountered in the first part of the 21st century.
In an era of climate change and in an era of intense competition with downstream states over the Colorado River's water, we have to be very, very careful how we use this remaining resource that we have.
The 4 major demands on water in Colorado are population, agriculture, recreational, and environmental needs and energy.
Colorado State, where 85 to 90% of our water historically has gone for agricultural use. But now we're starting to see shifts in that, and we have very intense competition going on today over the state's water resources. Part of that is fueled by 2.5 million new people that we expect by 2030. And beyond that, another 2 million people by 2050. If you have 80% of the population living on the Front Range, and you see these very significant population increases, I think we're going to have a situation in the future where we have a sprawling city, basically from north of Fort Collins to south of Pueblo. So that's one major factor in this pressure on Colorado's water. And then agriculture is the other sector that is so important to Colorado's future. Agriculture today is about a $16 billion industry, but agriculture is facing significant pressures over competition for water resources and the shifting of water resources from agriculture to cities and municipalities.
Many Colorado farms and ranches have managed water for over 100 years. Mel Reddick is a second-generation Western Slope farmer in the Grand Junction area.
Well, without water here in the valley, it's a desert, so we wouldn't have any plants growing at all other than desert plants. Water is just critical to our agricultural needs. Where it used to be just primarily agriculture would demand the use of the water, now there's 4 major demands, and in some way we need to be able to figure out how to furnish enough water for the population. It's just going to be a combination and a juggling act.
Colorado ranchers are land stewards who represent a rich cultural legacy. Carlisle Currier is a third-generation